The film opens up in Wyoming territory in 1882. Teenager Lucas Hollister checks on his sleeping brother Jacob before partaking in the farm's chores alone, tending to the animals, fetching water, all as the winter snow begins to fall. He teaches Jacob to read and write. Afterwards, they go to the graves of their parents, one taken by illness, the other suicide. The two brothers are orphans, trying to survive alone. Lucas checks the pantry and realizes the two are running out of food. He feeds his brother and lies about eating later. He baths the boy. Working on the farm one day, Jacob sees a wolf, and Lucas goes for one of his father's rifles. After aiming and pulling the trigger, it clicks empty, and Lucas throws down the gun in anger, realizing they don't even have enough ammo to defend themselves. The two travel to the local town of Hayesville. They go to the meat market to sell the hogs, but get a low offer. A desperate Lucas offers to sell one of the horses and gets a $30 offer for all, which he accepts. The two go to the general store to buy food. The shop owner mentions that someone is interested in buying some of their land, but Lucas firmly tells him no. As he goes to leave, he notices Jacob being bullied by some boys who steal his candy. Lucas knocks one of the boys down, making him bleed. The father of the two bullies, Charles Gantry, is enraged, but the shop owner tells Lucas to get his brother and go home immediately. At their home, Lucas is confronted by Gantry and his son, who are looking to collect on their debt of the boy being injured. Lucas points the gun at him, but the boy's father said he will force Lucas to work for him to fulfill a contract since his son cannot, telling him he will be back in the morning to collect him. That night, as he puts Jacob to bed, Lucas is asked what their mother looked like. Lucas admits he can no longer remember. He goes outside and breaks down sobbing. The next morning, he sees the wolf has returned. He once again grabs one of the rifles and gives chase. Going up a hill, he fires in the direction of the wolf, only to miss completely and kill Charles Gantry by accident. Lucas is then sentenced to death by hanging. Lucas's grand aunt Evelyn Bassett travels to Hayesville in an attempt to see Lucas freed. Visiting Lucas in his cell, Evelyn tells him that her attempts at decency fell on deaf ears. Lucas asks what will happen to Jacob. Evelyn says he will be sent to a boy's home as she is an old woman who cannot take care of a child. She apologizes that she could not do more. Later, a man who goes by the name Harland Rust visits the boy's home. He takes a look around and prays at the grave of the boy's parents. At Ledford, Wyoming, a sheriff's deputy Woodhelm gets ready for the day. He hears someone coughing upstairs. It is his young son Benjamin, who is slowly dying. His wife asks if he hates his son for dying. Wood is shocked and horrified she would ask that. His wife tells him he can't fix this. Wood leaves and his wife breaks down sobbing. Wood goes out with his partner Drum to confront a group of 5 drunken outlaws who apparently murdered a native family. When one of the outlaws raises his shotgun, Wood starts off the shooting, and he, Drum, and another deputy kill the 5, though the other deputy is killed. Wood finds the small child the 5 had kidnapped. Jacob has begun to sleep at the jail where Lucas is being held. Bill, the shopkeeper, takes Lucas somewhere safe, lamenting that his family cannot take him in. That night, Harlan breaks into the sheriff's office with the intention of breaking Lucas out of jail. Thinking the man wishes him harm, Lucas calls for the sheriff, only for Harlan to knock him out and steal a rifle on the way out. Bill comes out with a gun, pointing it at Harlan, only to drop it once he recognizes him. Harlan tells Bill to tell anyone who comes for him will end up shaking hands with the devil himself. The next morning, Lucas understandably has many questions, but Harlan is unwilling to give him answers, telling the boy they need to travel hard and fast, and he has to do what he says. In Hayesville, it is revealed that Sheriff Tom Long, his deputy Charlie Culliver, and another deputy died from the attack from Harland, and a posse is being created to track down Harland and Lucas. Back in Ledford, a drunk and depressed Wood is confronted by a man in the saloon who calls him out for failing to protect some men weeks before, leading to Wood almost killing him, only to be pulled away by Drum. Harland and Lucas continue to travel. Lucas once again, this time at gunpoint, asks who Harland is. Harland reveals to Lucas he is his grandfather, the father of his mother, but Lucas doesn't believe it. He then snatches the rifle from Lucas. Lucas calls him a murderer for killing the sheriff, but Harland replied that makes 2 of them. Lucas tells him to go to hell, so Harland slaps him, telling him the next one will be worse. They make camp for the day to avoid a murderous Indian tribe and catch a rabbit for food. Wood is met with Lawrence Stillwell, who tells him of Harland Rust killing 3 men to bust out Lucas, and how he wants Wood to bring Harland to justice for his many crimes. Stillwell tells Wood to take Dick Miller with him, as he wants more backup with him than just Drum. Stillwell tells Wood he wants Harland badly, and commends Wood for using unconventional methods to bring men to justice. The next morning, Lucas tries to run, but doesn't get far before Harland catches him. Fed up with the boy, he finally tells him what he wanted to know, what it is like to watch a man hang. Harland tells him that if you are not lucky to have your neck broken immediately, you can suffer for hours, and that is not something he wants to know. Harland intentionally spooks Lucas's horse so that a false trail to be created. Lucas asks what the plan is. Harland tells him he has a friend that will get them to Mexico where neither lawman nor bounty hunter can touch him. Lucas doesn't want to live in Mexico, especially without his brother, but Harland notes he has little choice. In Ellsworth, Kansas, a preacher brings in an outlaw to be brought back to Missouri to be hanged. The sheriff gives him a telegram about a $1,000 bounty on Harland Rust. "God bless the wicked," preacher says with a smirk, "for they continue to pay my bills." Back in Atchison, Wyoming, Wood, Drum, and Miller travel to the farm of Brothers Boone and Cleet LaFontaine and offer them $200 to join them in tracking down Harland and Lucas. Preacher spends the night at a saloon, and with one its girls, Abigail, though initially receptive to his company. She becomes terrified when he talks of his bounty hunting past. Harland and Lucas come upon an open cabin where two trappers have set up camp. Giving fake names, the two are initially welcomed with hospitality by the men. However, Lucas finds a wanted poster with his and Harland's name on them, and realizes they are bounty hunters. Lucas is held at gunpoint, only for Harland to hold a knife to the man. The second man tries to shoot them, so Harland shoots him in turn. After a struggle, Harland stabs the first man dead and finishes off the second. Lucas is overwhelmed by the violence and tells Harland he can't do this anymore. He just wants to go home, be with his brother, and be left alone. A sympathetic but firm Harland tells him he isn't a child anymore and needs to accept that his old life is gone. The two flee the encampment as Indian tribes could have heard the shot. Wood and his men visit Evelyn Bassett. Wood asks how she knows Harland Rust, and Evelyn tries to shut down the conversation. However, Wood deduces that Harland is her brother, and she told him about the boy in an attempt to save him. Evelyn tells him to leave, but not before saying Harland wasn't always a violent man, and Wood doesn't know him. On a cliffside, Harland and Lucas spot a Kiowa Indian raiding party. Harland tells him they will let them pass to not cause conflict. They travel to Lawson County, Colorado, which has a small camping town. Lucas tries to send a letter, but Harland sees it and chides the boy for being careless, as it could create a trail for people to find them. As Harland goes to buy some food, Lucas hears a harmonica and follows the crowd to a small gallows where a condemned man gives his final statement. Lucas watches him be hanged and sees what Harland warned him about. The man does not die quickly and struggles with his end. A terrified Lucas stumbles back and is met with Harland, who bought a dog. The two ride out of the town. Preacher travels through the night on his way to find Harland. Wood and his posse do the same. Meanwhile, Harland watches Lucas play with the dog. Wood and his group then find the bodies of the two bounty hunters. Over a fire, Lucas talks about how at 10 years old, he had to take care of his ill mother as she wasted away. Jacob was too young to remember her. He asks why Harland is so full of hate. Harland tells him he came from Chicago, lived an honest life until the bank took his land. He robbed several banks after that and never looked back. He worked numerous odd jobs and lived a solitary existence. Back in Lawson County, word of the bounty spread. Lucas looks at his great-grandfather's rifle and notes to Harland how many lives it had ruined. Numerous Apaches, his own, Charles Gantry, and his father. When asked by Harland what he means, Lucas tells him his dad committed suicide a year after his mother died. Harland notices Lucas is sick and says they will travel to an old friend's so he can rest. However, when they get to the man's house, they are met by the man's widow, who tells Harland that he was hanged 5 years before for a crime he helped Harland commit 20 years before. She tells them to leave and never come back. Lucas gives the man's son the dog and tells him to take care of him. The two leave. Wood travels to Lawson County. At the general store, he asks the owner about a longer-ranged weapon, only to be given a telegram sent by Stillwell that tells him his son has died. Harland and Lucas arrive in Rio Arion, New Mexico territory. Lucas, still sick, passes out, and Harland rides them quickly through the night, trying to find a safe spot. Finding a wagon company, they are taken in while Lucas rides out his illness, calling out for his mother. Lucas dreams of his mother, before waking up suddenly, free of his illness. Harland tells him he was out for a day and a half. Preacher finds the home of Chunk Bodrer, where Harland and Lucas previously tried to stay. After getting food and some information from her, he seduces the lonely widow before leaving. Harland and Lucas are cornered by two men. Harland trades shots with them, wounding one, but gets wounded in the process. The two are forced to flee, losing their horses and most of their supplies. Over the fire that night, Harland tells Lucas he was married and had a son in addition to his daughter, Lucas's mother. Working the land took the life of his son, and his wife committed suicide shortly after the bank took their land. Lucas struggles with survivor's guilt, wondering why his mother died and not him. He asks Harland how many people he has killed. "I don't remember," Harland says. Preacher finds himself at the location where the two bounty hunters failed to corner Harland. Preacher wants information, but the two are unwilling to give it up. When the younger of the two points a gun at him, Preacher kills him with zero hesitation. The older one tells Preacher Harland, and the boy went to Dawes Pass and has a half-a-day head start on him. As a weakened Harland rests, Lucas tries to hunt a rabbit, only to be confronted by Kiowa Indians. A terrified Lucas offers to trade the rifle for their horse. Surprisingly, they accept, calling Lucas a strange boy. Harland, who had a gun trained nearby, sighs in relief. They use the horse to travel to Mosquero, New Mexico territory. Sitting Harland at a bar, Lucas goes to find a doctor, only to recognize nearby horses. The patrons, including one, Blackburn, had apparently killed the Kiowa Indians Lucas made a deal with hours before, as they begin to talk of Harland's bounty with the intention to collect. Wood shows up looking to make his arrest, having already caught Lucas. As a standoff ensues, Preacher shows up, shooting Cleet in the back, killing him. In the saloon, the shooting starts. Preacher chases after Harland and Lucas, who has had to drag the wounded Harland by foot. Getting the drop on them, Preacher shoots Harland in the chest before grabbing Lucas up. Wood, who had given chase, orders Preacher to let the boy go. But Preacher, who has lost his sanity in the pursuit of the two, refuses to do so, and threatens to kill the boy. Preacher tells Wood the boy has sinned and needs to pay, shooting Wood in the shoulder. Wood stumbles, and Harland shoots Preacher in the back. A bloody, wounded Preacher crawls for his cross and turns as Harland puts a bullet in his head. Harland offers Wood a deal. He will come quietly with him and answer for his crimes if he allows Lucas to escape. Wood says it isn't his decision to make. Harland asks Wood if he has a son, which makes him flinch and makes him understand. Harland tells Lucas he has to go and meet a man named Anselmo, who will get him to Mexico, who will meet up with Evelyn, his sister, who has had everything arranged. Harland tells Lucas not to cry for him. Wood, who is grateful for Harland saving his life, tells Lucas to go. Wood takes Harland into custody, and when met by Stillwell, Wood lies that Lucas tried to make a run for it, and died with his horse going over a ravine. Lucas meets with Anselmo, introducing himself as Lucas Rust, taking his grandfather's last name. Stillwell rides off with Harland and the other deputies. Wood says he will ride home alone. Harland and Wood share a final silent moment of understanding before he is taken away. Wood goes home and finds the room where his son died empty. It is implied his wife left him. Harland is dragged out of his cell in Hayesville. The gallows meant for Lucas now meant for him. As he stands at the noose, Harland dies. Stillwell, not wanting an awkward situation, tells the other deputies to kill him twice and hang the dead Harland regardless. Lucas is met by Evelyn, who had ultimately masterminded his escape with her brother Harland. Lucas reunites with his brother Jacob, who runs up to hug him.